Hi, and welcome back, Dirtbags. Great to have you here. And hey, for another great episode, we're going to be continuing on our conversation on the Rip Grip Pro hitting training aid that we've been working on the last few weeks, and big advocates of it ourselves here at Dirtbag Baseball Nation. And I'm happy to have on with me today to talk about it Drew Martinez, the San Francisco Giants Dominican Summer League manager, with us. So super excited to have you, Drew, and appreciate you for your time. I know fall ball, anytime a ball in the minor leagues is busy, you're happening. And so welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Great, man. I love it. So where do we got you today? I think it's, were you in Memphis today? A little bit of breathing
I'm in
time?
Memphis today.
Good.
Yes, a little bit of breathing time.
Good, good. I know you've had a busy schedule. I know talking to you there off air a little bit and stuff like that. You're a busy guy right now.
Leave to go back in about a week. So I
Good
got a little
stuff.
bit of time off, but try to enjoy it while I can.
Yeah, yeah, the grind of the minor leagues that you often hear about, and you don't
hmm
always have these opportunities to talk with different people. So it's great to have you. So, hey, as you know, Rip Grip Pro, something that you've been on board with for the last 3 or 4 years, I guess, since kind of the concept came to be, and got a
hmm
few prototypes in your hands and different things like that. So, talk to us.
Well, it started with Drew Ravens, an outfielder for the Dodgers organization. He kind of brought up this idea, and a guy he trains, Sully, and then Trey Sullivan. They kind of got talking, and when it comes to like his biggest concept was he was using a styrofoam golf ball, the top two parts of his fingers, and for him to allow a certain feel of, I don't know what you call it, getting back here, you know, dumping the barrel, whatever you want to call it, getting on the slide, getting the plane, whatever somebody wants to call it. But he was using that, and then he was like, "Well, I wish there was something you could just put on your fingers, because every time he took a swing, the ball would fly off, so he could chase the baseball or the little styrofoam golf ball or whatever he had in his fingers. He could chase it." And I think that annoyed him a little bit, but as a player, professional, you're do whatever you need to so that you can, I guess, best benefit your game. And if that's a resource that helps you, you'll go chase it every time. And I think it's one thing that helped him. So they came to talking. One thing led to another. They said, "I know." They come out the prototype. Joe hands it to me. He goes, "Hey, tell me what you think about it." He's like, "Take it today, use it with all your guys, see what you think." So I did, and I had a lot of older guys, high school guys, and all of them started asking me that day, like, "Hey, what can I get one?" So I gave it to them, explained it, taught them what they need to feel, what they should focus on, and then from there said, "Okay, here, use it." And then when they took it off, because the goal is obviously you want to use it, take it off and we create the muscle memory so that it happens often. But for them, it almost got to the point to where it's like almost like the pro hitter, where they put it on their thumb and they get so used to having it on that they started wanting to use it in the games. They started wanting to use it all the time. And that's kind of how it came about. And from that moment on, I was like, well, if you need more, I want to use it. I like it a lot. And from that point on, it's been great.
Yeah, for sure. And you hit some good points there, Drew, in the fact of, we're not talking about gimmicks and stuff like that. I mean, I guess everything has a potential to be a gimmick for sure. But like
Yes.
you said, your pro players and stuff like that. I'm not talking about your team personally or whatever and that, but just people in general at the pro level. They're always open to try whatever it is to keep them in the game, right? And
hmm
that's at the pro level. But now you've got high school, college, your amateur level and stuff like that. Again, I think if a pro player isn't using it or you don't see them using it, you're kind of like, I don't know. I'm especially in high school, right? We've all been there. You know what?
Yeah.
Too cool for school type of thing, right? It's almost like I'm too cool for baseball, new products or whatever, and that, and you're leery about that type of stuff. But it's a small little training aid. Certainly, like anything, it engages the brain as soon as you put it on because it is something that's different from you, what you're used to and
hmm
stuff like that. And especially, I know when Trace first reached out to me and was talking about it, and then we got our hands on it as well. It was like, man, you really have your trouble getting your head wrapped around the concept of all of a sudden taking not only one finger off the bat, but potentially two fingers off the bat. So,
Hmm.
what did you find? What was it like when you first started to use it? Was that kind of an overwhelming thing where you just had to trust? I hate to say trust the process because that's the cliche, but
Hmm.
just trust in letting it happen and letting your mind adapt into the feel of it.
Well, the biggest thing is when we were in high school, it was just play.
Yeah.
There's all these little tools, resources, whatever. That was still in the process of coming out. So now it's almost like trying to find what will work for you and what won't, and what is, like you said, a gimmick, or what's going to truly help you in the development. Because the biggest thing when using this is to create as much adjustability in your swing, as well as helping you not only just create the adjustability, but to give yourself a better chance. Um, and I tell the hitters all the time when it comes to this, like, it doesn't matter what you do if you're not on time. This will not help you. And I start with the little stuff with that, but for me, I started liking it. I took it and I swung with it myself because it's hard for me to explain something to somebody if I don't truly use it and know how to use it. And so Drew gave it to me. He's like, because again, when he gave it to me, he's like, "Hey, take some swings with it. What do you think?" And I started taking swings with it. And he was like, "Okay, now feel this and this." So I started feeling it and started like, "Okay, I see what you're trying to do. Like, I get what you're trying to do." And when it comes to having those two fingers off, I had somebody tell me, because I gave it to a player named Chad Sedio, was in the Tigers organization for a long time. He played last year. He was a hitter in indie ball with me, and then this year he went to Milwaukee for the Milwaukee Milkmen in the American Association. He got picked up by a team in Mexico. But we talked all the time about this. He read a book where when you look at samurais and how they swing their sword, they swing it with just their ring finger, the pinky, and their thumb. These are off, and it allows for obviously a more direct, more clean path. When you look at the swing, it's not completely different within that. And 80% of your strength is in these three fingers. The issue is these get so dominant because you want to end up pushing rather than pulling. And it's, that's the whole thing of, the high school baseball. And I hear so many coaches say, you swing downhill, swing downhill. It's not bad, but it's not also great either.
Yeah.
And the issue is they don't know how to explain what they mean by swinging downhill. If a player already swings downhill, there's no point to say that. The issue is it's a one size fits all sometimes in high school, and it's one philosophy, it's almost kind of a my way or the highway type things, depending on the coach, rather than like individualizing it. And I get it when you have 80 people, very difficult.
Sure.
So when they come to me, they I'm teaching them specific things and I want them to work on it, but it's very hard for them sometimes too, just because the coach is like, "Hey, I want you downhill, I want you downhill." Well, I'm like, you could take that in a specific way, but it's how you handle it. And I think using the Rip Grip Pro and having them use it during that high school practices, having them a tool that they can use just like the pro hitter, where they're always putting it on, or their Evo Shield, where they're always putting it on, it becomes comfortable for them. So therefore, mentally, they have something to focus on. But when it comes to the actual device, to me, I think it's game changing for a high school player. But I think for me, like, you want to create adjustability as a professional athlete, well, why can't you start in high school? Or really, why can't you start earlier than that? But you don't start really learning your body till you're in high school. That's when you start trying to figure yourself out a little bit.
Sure, for sure, for sure. And again, you talked about feel, and I think that's such an underrated component of coaching and stuff like that. Whether you're talking hitting, you're pitching, you're whatever it is, right? It's learning to feel your body working right and incorrectly. You have to feel both of them so
Mm-hmm.
you can make those
Mm-hmm.
adjustments that we always hear about. Really, that great pro player, he can make those adjustments so quick or whatever. And that it's not that they can just make them; they make them because they understand the feeling of their body, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the real versus feel is so. uh misconstrued, and people think, they're swinging a specific way, like, oh, no, 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 I this is what I look like, and then you show them the video and they're like, oh wow, that's not what I look like at all. And it's the real versus feel is so different from hitter to hitter, and what they can genuinely actually feel. And then sometimes, they need visuals. They need, some guys are kinesthetic learners where they want to see everything. They need to see it for them to believe it. And that's fine because now we got the technology for it. When before, like I had the technology, so my dad would tell me something and I would argue with him. And my dad was like, no, I know what I'm talking about. Like, do it. And it got to the point where like I started understanding and started seeing changes to it more and more and more, and it became better, better, better. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, again, you're talking what needs to be talked about a lot more and stuff like that. Yes, we're talking about the Rip Grip Pro dirt bags, but it's not only just going out and getting the tool, but it's understanding what it helps you do. Yes, we're talking about getting comfortable with the feel of it on at first. I mean, that's an automatic. You have to get comfortable with the feel. Some people like tape on a bat. Some people like grip on a bat. Some people like the wood bat.
mm,
That's
it just
it's the same thing, right? And so, like you said, it's really getting comfortable with it. And you were talking about, swinging down on the ball. Really, I mean, our generation, that's what it was, right? A lot of that. And but now as we've evolved, it's is yes, you're going to be down on the ball, but it's getting in the swing zone, the plane early is really what they're
mhm.
talking about. So, like you said, yeah, you have to be coming down at first or whatever and that, but it's not getting down on time, like you said, late, where you're only in the zone maybe that amount, right? You want
Mm,
to be in that zone as long as you can, right?
yeah, create as
And
much length as
so,
possible.
and I think that's what this Rip Grip Pro does. From talking to Drew and yourself, it gets you there. It helps you be in that plane a little longer,
Hmm.
especially when he's talking about how it's helped him hit that outside pitch a lot truer and a lot more solid.
Yeah, it helps for him, especially for him, who's already got a very good understanding of like what his body's doing and how his body moves. For him, it was just that little, especially at his level, it's that little tweak that is a world difference. And for him, he has adjustability because he's so athletic and his bat to ball skills are so good. But it's his ability to create length in the zone and how soon can he get in the zone and how long can he keep it in there will give him a lot and the most adjustability as well as the ability for him to use his body efficiently. And he understands that. And that's kind of what makes him such a good hitter is his and he's extremely smart, like bat to bat, pitch to pitch. Like he's extremely intelligent when it comes to that. And he's extremely confident as well. So, and that's a huge thing for any hitter, you know, is understanding that, being confident what your process is, and knowing, hey, it's going to come around. It's just when, and that's the hardest thing to do, especially when you're using a tool or using something and you're not seeing immediate results because everybody wants results that day rather than understanding how long it takes to change or break a habit. I've heard in between 1,500 to 2,500 swings to break a habit.
Yeah.
That's a lot of swings. And you go take, I would say, you go hit for an hour and you try to swing the whole time, which nobody can.
No.
And you realize it's like you may take 250 swings. That's
10 days.
such a small number compared to what you really need. So you're looking, all right, 250 swings, 5, 6 days a week. Okay, you're getting there, but you're probably only halfway there,
Yeah.
you know? And so it's understanding that. And for a high school player, and the parents, I tell the parent too, look, it's gonna take time. I built a program for a reason. Please stick with me. You'll see the result, not today. You won't see it tomorrow. You won't see it next day. I go, give me a week, 2 weeks max. If you don't like it, you're welcome to move on. I understand. But I'm like, just give me time. Like, I'm not trying to make him just this incredible hitter after a day. It's not going to happen.
No. No.
So,
That's it, right? Those instant results and stuff like that. And I know we talk about that here all the time or whatever. And talking about your managing and stuff like that this summer. You can just tell listening to you, Drew, that it's about building that relationship, right?
Mm-hmm.
At first, it's like you're collecting data on the kid alone just to see what they do well
Mm-hmm.
hitting, whether it's pitching, whatever the training session is or whatever. And that you got to stay quiet and just observe, because there might be a lot of things they do well already, and there might be a few tweaks, right? Instead of what most trainers will look at and go, oh, geez, I'm getting paid, so I better jump in there and just start making a bunch
Mm-hmm.
of adjustments. And they'll think, wow, this guy's really smart or whatever. And that, no, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way at all. It's, and like we said, right, it works both ways, from us to them,
Yeah.
to us. And we have a simple thing here. We just call it the ACE mindset, ACE. So attitude, commitment, and effort. We're going to give you all those, but we expect those in return. And then we're going to see a little
Mm-hmm.
bit of fruition to the journey we're about to take, right?
Well, when it comes, and especially when it comes to that, especially training and lessons, I tell parents all the time, when your son is playing, take videos. Game swing is so much different than a comfortable environment when you know the exact speed that's coming. When you and I do mix BP, I do a lot of mix to put them in uncomfortable environments. But to change a swing, you need the same kind of you need repetition.
Sure.
I want to see it in game. That's when I see what the swing is truly doing. That's what I see what the body is truly doing. And I tell people all the time, I go, what's the point of me training you if I'm never going to watch you play?
Yeah.
I'm never going to see you play. So I try to make it out to every single, I guess, person I train. I try to go to a game. I want to see him play. And then I tell the parents every at bat, take an at bat, or take two at bats, take three at bats, video it. I want to see the whole at bat, good or bad, because I need to know.
Sure.
And,
Sure.
and then I could talk to the hitter about more than just maybe their swing. Maybe they struggle because they swung out of the zone. They chased three bad pitches, and they're like, "Oh, why did I hit that?" Like, well, and I tell them like, "Why are you so upset? Like about your swing? You swung at three balls in the dirt.
Yep.
Like that's on you. It's seeing the ball up in a better spot. Like understanding if you have to manipulate your swing so much to hit a pitch, it's probably not a good pitch to hit.
Yeah.
And understanding that.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what tool you use. You can be the best hitter in the world. You chase three bad pitches, you're in trouble anyway.
That's right. You just
And
don't have a
but
plan.
I heard a coach say that this year. If you have to manipulate your body so much just to hit a pitch, breaking ball, whatever it might be, it's probably not a good pitch to hit.
Yeah.
And it's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I like that. Like it's different. But like it comes back into what when using the Rip Grip Pro, if you have to manipulate it so much to hit a specific pitch, it might feel extreme what you're doing, but if you have to manipulate it, your whole body, probably not a good pitch to hit.
Yeah, yeah. The no training aid's going to help you in that process or whatever, and that's a whole different
Exactly.
environment of it. Those aren't physical attributes; those are mental
No,
preparation, right, and understanding and
exactly.
stuff like that. And like you said, it's stressful, and I love the fact you said that, Drew. It's training's always going to be a comfortable environment, or as comfortable as it can possibly be, versus a game, and we know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
The game is a totally different beast for sure. So one thing I would just want to clarify with you in that, because it's really important to the Rip Grip Pro, and you touched on it briefly right at the first of the episode. You talked about the top hand getting the fingers off to release the top of the forearm muscles versus the bottom of the forearm muscles. And I don't think enough people understand that. So if you don't mind taking a couple of minutes as we wrap this up, just to really explain why that's important and that is a part of what the Rip Grip will provide for you.
I think the Rip Grip, it's the biggest thing is like when you look at the movement and getting into your launch position, your I don't whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
It's the biggest thing is understanding like when you get into it, these fingers are already up. Your goal is to keep it light on these top two fingers and focus on pulling through these bottom two. But what you're really doing is you're putting your body into a spot when you get to this point. It's not pulling the hands, it's just turning the body and allowing the body to stay connected. All I'm trying to do with it, because a lot of sometimes they try to get handsy and try to do it with the hands. It's not what I want. My goal with this is to put your body into a connected position and put your hands in the right place to where when you do have to go through the baseball, you're doing it with the right pieces of your body. And this is just helping you get there more efficiently and getting you on plane quicker, getting you in the zone quicker, so that when you do start to swing, the path and the length you've created gives you an extreme amount of adjustability. So when you are, you know, a little fooled by an off-speed pitch or a little late on a fastball, a little later than you think you should be, you still having a chance to hit the baseball. And it creates drag to the zone in a good way. You know, people think sometimes drag or barrel drag isn't always good. It is in specific aspects. That's why when you see guys get middle end pitches and they hit them out the other way, that is why. You know, they're able to do that because they've created that barrel drag. And that's something that again gives you adjustability. And that's so difficult to replicate every single day or every single bat or every single pitch or every swing. But when it comes to allowing yourself a chance, that's what you're trying to do. Give yourself the best chance to do it. Now, will you? Obviously, we know more times than not, no, because baseball's difficult. But are you just giving yourself an opportunity? Without a doubt. Because how many times you do take a great swing and you hammer it, and then you take probably one of the worst swings of your life and it falls in for a hit, you're just like, why? I don't get it.
Yeah.
But all the Rip Grip Pro is trying to give you the best chance to do that more consistently. And I like it and I use it because to me, it's when you look at training an individual, you go from the ground up. Well, that's that last little piece that can make and break hitters sometimes. And, you know, if your foundation is great, the hands are going to work with it, the body's going to work with it, and you're going to put your body in the best position. But this is just such an easy training tool. If you can't feel it or the real versus feel is not there, it allows it to happen much quicker. It gives it an easier feel. And sometimes you have to be extreme. You think you're doing it right and really not. You're still doing the same thing because you could take swings, but it's much harder to roll over when taking a swing with this on your hands if you're doing it the right way.
I really like that you said it that way. So, dirtbags, you're out there, you're watching. I know what your first reaction is or whatever. And that, how do I know? How do I know? Do what Drew just did there. All right. Take your top hand and just take your fingers off and feel what your forearm muscles do and stuff like that alone. But don't fall into the trap of thinking, oh, I'm going to just simply go out and start practicing like this right now. What he just said there at the end is the Rip Grip Pro itself slides over those fingers seamlessly and easy that automatically puts you into that position with the hand grip that now allows you to stay focused on your swing, what you need to be doing. Because let's be honest, if you go out and play and you take swings like this, you could learn. But like Drew said earlier today, hey, it's 1,500, it's 2,500, especially at the amateur level. You're not doing them in the next 2 weeks. That could be the next year you're taking those swings because you can run out and take them, but you're not physically doing it right. You're exhausted. You're going to be great one day. You're going to be bad one day. Let's be realistic about this process. So the bottom line is, you get that training aid, you slide it on those fingers, it's naturally already there for it. It's one less thing to have to think about. And like we said, I mean, hey, the more things you think about with hitting, other than see the ball and hit the ball when it's time to go, chance of success is pretty small, right?
And the biggest thing with the Rip Grip Pro is, you know, I always tell hitters, I see that all the time the first time to put on. So they say you're here and you go put it on. They want to slide as far back on their fingers as possible. It's not what you want. You want it literally sitting on these top, there's like this area right here, almost I guess in this like knuckle area right here, because you want to be able to place it on top. If you put it back here, you have no chance to actually place on top, and you end up squeezing the bat. I try to put it like when I hit with it and I mess around with it, I'll put it like on this knuckle area to almost like up here because I want to be able to place it on it, but I want it tight enough on my fingers. For me, I have narrower hands, narrow fingers, so that I know when I put batting gloves on, though, it'll stay. But for other people, it'll just barely put it on there because you barely want to place it on top of the bat. The goal is to keep it as light as possible. Naturally, you know, people talk about when you're hitting, it's do this whole thing, you know, to keep your hands light. Mentally, you do this, and then right when you swing, it's squeeze. It's going to do the same thing. it's very similar in the I guess the brain and the mind. It's very similar. It does the same thing. You'll keep it light when you go to swing. It'll squeeze a little bit, but it won't grip it too hard.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing that I think is missed sometimes with this product. They'll still grip it the same and expect the result rather than understanding what you need to feel first. And that's what I do. Sometimes I make them hit with their fingers off and I put it on. I'm like, you want the same feel. And then we kind of move from there.
I like that.
And
I like that.
and then I start to, and then I'll have them hit with it on, I'll have them with it off, put it back on, take it back off, because I want them to be able to do without it. If I
Yep.
can train them to do without it, then we've made the right muscle memory corrections. We put their body in a better position, and then we can move to the next step. But being able to put their body in the best position is crucial. And that's the biggest thing is right when you start to swing, that's when you need to make sure the body and everything's syncing up the right way. Is the lower half syncing up with the top half, is the knees and the hips sync up together with the back shoulder. And because you look at the sequence, kinematic sequence, whatever, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the feet. It depends. Everybody gets different, but it's like the feet, hips, shoulders, hands, or I've heard feet, hips, torso, hands. Like I've heard multiples, but when you look at it, like, are you gonna set yourself up for that sequence to happen, or are you gonna start pushing your hands? And I try to I break swings down so they can feel it with that. But the Rip Grip Pro has made my life way easier because then I don't have to worry about are the hands going to get to a specific position, because usually they do. Then it just adds one thing off of what I have to really work on. But as long as the person using it understands the mental cues, which are the physical cues you're supposed to feel, then the adjustments will happen quicker because you will look for that feel. And if you're hitting that feel every single time, even if it's uncomfortable, the result will happen quicker. And you'll start trusting it because you will see the result come with it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate your time and the simplicity of how you broke it down or whatever, and make it make sense for the dirtbags out there watching and stuff like that. I can understand why you're in the position you are, man. You're very calm about it. You're very professional about it. You're very methodical about it and stuff like that. And you obviously understand the value of the Rip Grip Pro. So dirtbags, it's the old lead the horse to water type of stuff. We can give you all the information we can, and that's what we're here doing on Dirtbag Baseball Talk. It's about educating you and empowering you to become the best player, parent, whatever possible in your baseball journey to, as Drew said right at the very first, make it the most fun it possibly can be. And that's what we believe in here at Dirtbag Baseball Nation as well. So, my friend, I appreciate your time. Appreciate your insight, and can't thank you enough for being on with us.
Thank you for having me.
Great stuff, man, for sure. So there you go, dirtbags. Head on over to ripgrippro.com. Check it out. Hey, if you have any more questions, reach out to us. We're here to answer everything we can or possible. You can reach Tress. You can reach Drew Avens with Rip Grip Pro. They're going to answer as well or whatever. And that another valuable, hey, minor league manager, Dominican Summer League, San Francisco Giants, Drew Martinez. He's been on it for a while now or whatever and you heard the reason why, and it couldn't be explained anymore. So again, best of luck this fall or this month. I know you're heading back down to the Dominican, I think, quick. So
yes,
have a safe journey, have a successful journey, and we hope to see you here again real soon.
We will. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You got it, buddy. There you have it, dirtbags. You know what time it is. It's time to get up, get after it, and get dirty.